Hello, this is Mrs. Cassidy, and I thought that we would spend some time today doing a lesson called Handwriting with Miss Cassidy. So, any student that has worked with me knows that I'm a little bit obsessed with the handwriting, and I have a little story about a house that I use to teach kids to make their handwriting better. So, parents, I thought I would share this with you, and students, you can have a little review. All right, so when you are writing on the lines in kindergarten, first and second grade, sometimes third, you will have paper that has a bottom red line, and I call this the floor. You have a dotted middle line, and you have a top blue line. I call that the ceiling, and I'll show you why. All right, so you have the floor, the dotted line in the middle, and the ceiling. All right, so this is why we like to use this blue, dotted, and red paper, because it's very helpful when you're trying to get students to learn how to write on the lines. Okay, so I always tell the story about how this is a house. So here is my attic, and the attic is above the ceiling. Here are my walls to my house, and down here is my basement. Okay? Basement. All right, so what I teach kids is that this red line is the floor, this is the downstairs, this is the upstairs, and this is the attic, okay? And there are many rules that have to do with these parts of the house, all right? For example, I have a spider that lives up in my attic. Now, he's not really a mean spider, but he loves to eat letters. He's kind of like the Cookie Monster, except for letters. So he doesn't eat like your old furniture or your old toys or anything that you store up in the attic, except for letters. So if you have a letter that decides to go up in the attic, that spider gets to eat it, okay? Then in the basement, I have some sharks, little pet sharks that I store in my basement. Dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. And they are also nice, but they will also eat parts of letters that don't belong in the basement. And so I have my spider up top, I have my sharks in the basement. Then I have my red floor, downstairs, upstairs, and attic. All right, so now that you know the parts of my house, let me tell you some rules about this house. So I have some little houses right here, and I'm using the blue, the red, and the dotted lines, and you are pretending that these are houses. Now, a common mistake that kids often make, let's just use capital K, is they'll start writing and they will let their K go up above that blue ceiling, okay? Well, the K is not allowed to be in the attic of the house. And so if I was that spider, I would eat part of that K and make it disappear, and it wouldn't exist anymore. All right? Now, for the K, it didn't really matter, but if you did, let's say, the letter R up there, and the spider came and ate all of the part of letter R that was up in the attic, it wouldn't look like an R anymore. Matter of fact, it would kind of look like a K. So basically think of that spider as erasing anything above the ceiling. All right? That ceiling is for either the uppercase letters, or I like to call them teenage letters that go all the way to the top. For example, a capital H. I have a capital H. I start at the ceiling, I go to the floor. I start at the ceiling, I go to the floor. I cross it in the middle for my capital H. Okay? Doesn't go down in the basement. It doesn't go up in the attic. This is my teenage letter, H. Lowercase h, start at the ceiling, go all the way to the floor, and then my hump has to stay downstairs below the dotted line. So this is a teenage letter because he got to go all the way upstairs. All right, so here is my next story. Nothing in the attic, right? Same thing with my basement with my sharks. If you had the letter H and you decided to make your H down here, the shark would get to come and erase all of that is under the floor. Now that still looks like an H, right? So let's try another letter. Like let's say S. Let's say you made your S like this. If the shark ate the bottom part of your letter, you wouldn't be positive that that was still an S. Yes, it kind of looks like an S, and you can probably guess that it's an S, but the shark has eaten a lot of the letter, and so it would almost look like, well, maybe they were making a lowercase g and they didn't finish it, or, a bunch of different scenarios. So that's what I mean by the attic and the basement being eaten by spiders and sharks. All right, now, if you are a special letter, there are special letters that get to go down in the basement, and those are letters that have fishing poles. So I call them fishing poles because the letter Y, G, these are not in order, obviously, P, Q, all right, and J. There are 5 letters that actually get to go down in the basement, and that is because these letters have fishing poles that catch the sharks. Now, if you're a shark, you don't want to be caught by the fishing pole. You don't want to be someone's dinner. And so the sharks, they swim away from these 5 letters because they know that they have fishing poles and they don't want to be anywhere near the fishing pole. So they leave those 5 letters alone. All right, that's why those 5 letters get to go down in the basement. All right, now while these 5 letters can go down in the basement, there are no letters that ever get to go up in the attic. All right, so only 5 letters get to go down in the basement. There's our 5 fishing poles. Okay, and no letters, this is my 0, get to go up in the attic. All right. All right, so most letters like to stay downstairs. If you are a lowercase letter, most of the time you will stay downstairs. You're not old enough to go upstairs by yourself, so that means that you get to stay downstairs. The only letters I said that could go upstairs were the teenagers, and that would be like your letter H, B, D, F, and you understand. So any of these lowercase letters, they do get to go all the way up to the ceiling. The rest of your letters, though, are going to stay downstairs, okay, because they're still babies, all right? While your uppercase letters are always going to touch the ceiling, only your teenage letters get to touch the ceiling for lowercase. Got it? Okay, so I know I'm telling you lots of information here. Here is a house, and let's say that you were the letter A, lowercase a, you would want to stay downstairs. So you would make your circle downstairs below the dotted line and Make your line right there. Do not go off of the floor. All right, another common mistake that kids make whenever they're writing on using this house is they will jump off of the floor. So, for example, if you had, let's say, the letter C, okay? And I used my letter C and I went like this to make my letter C. Is the letter C touching the red floor? No, it is not. Matter of fact, it's jumping off of the floor, and it jumps so high that it's stuck there. So make sure all of your letters touch the bottom floor. All right? Okay, lots of information there. Let's just review one more time before I let you go. This is the house. It helps you write your letters correctly on the blue, dotted, and red lines. The red line is the floor. You want to stay on the floor. The floor is what is between the house and the basement. There are sharks in the basement. There are only 5 letters that get to go down in the basement, and that would be Y, G, P, Q, and J. That's because they have fishing poles that the sharks stay away from. Up here is the attic. The floor of the attic is the ceiling of the house. No letters are allowed to go up above the ceiling of the house. The spider will eat them. The ceiling is for teenage letters or for uppercase letters, like the letter T. You would use that top line and then go all the way down to the floor to finish your T. See how he had to touch the ceiling and the floor. So uppercase letters and the teenage letters get to go up to the ceiling all the way down to the floor. Lowercase letters always have to stay below this dotted line, and they need to touch the floor. Don't jump off the floor, or else you'll just be stuck there in the middle of the air. All right? So, parents, I hope that helps you at home. This is something that I have taught students for many years. So if you are always wondering, what in the world is she talking about with the houses? This is what I'm talking about. Hope this was helpful, and have a great day.